He got a pick six. Pike tricked up and then ends the world with the big one-handed. Here's the pitch. Back up the middle, that's going to be trouble. That one hit the post and then headed in.
I have a new job, and I want to make sure everybody understands what the new job is. I'm no longer a coach. I'm El Jefe.
An entire show dedicated to El Jefe.
El Jefe.
El Jefe. We welcome you into the sports update presented by Martinez and Associates, where over these next couple of blocks, Bobby Mendez and I are going to recap all things Pop, the retirements, the legacy, the numbers, everything that goes into making Gregg Popovich who he is as he now gets promoted and moves up to, as you saw, El Presidente of basketball operations, Bobby.
Coach Pop, it's going to be a fun show this afternoon for us here, Hector. So many things to talk about Coach Pop on so many facets, whether it's in life or just on the basketball court. I'm excited. Speaking of the basketball court, a look at the numbers beyond the accomplishments for one Gregg Popovich. You know he's the all-time winningest coach in NBA history. 1,422 regular season wins, 170 more in the playoffs. You know about the 5 titles. He won 3 Coach of the Year awards. NBA record 22 consecutive playoff appearances. That matches a league record. Won the Olympic gold a couple of years ago. Also a member of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, inducted when Tony Parker went in. Gregg Popovich, a resume that is second to none. Almost literally, very few can boast that kind of success. Now, Pop making his first public appearance a couple of days ago when he showed up at the team's facility, the Victory Capital Performance Center. Pop, this is the first time we've seen him since suffering the mild stroke in terms of intended appearances. You saw that TMZ video a couple of weeks ago, but Pop, flanked by Tim Duncan on one side, Manu Ginobili on the other. Very important for him and to him to make this appearance as he now hands the torch to Mitch Johnson. Pop, on ultimately what it came down to in passing that torch.
I can never express the gratitude that I have for so many people carrying my organization and sending me thoughts, prayers, that sort of thing. Since I had the stroke, things are getting better by the day, but it's not good enough for what we plan ahead. And so it's time to make this change.
In describing why he made the decision, Bobby, he used a phrase that we often heard him say over the years. It wasn't good enough. He recognized that he was not in a good enough position and shape to continue to lead this team. Your thoughts here on all things Pop, including seeing him at the press conference?
You know, seeing him at the press conference, Hector, it's tough to see Coach Pop in such a vulnerable state. We've always known him to be a very tough coach, very much alive, right, and animated. And it was tough to see it. But what's comforting is superstars like Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, just there walking him up to the podium and just by his side. That means so much. And I don't think anywhere in any history of sports have you ever seen teams stick together the way that Spurs teams have stuck together. So it was tough to see Pop that way. But again, as we talked in our previous shows, Hector, when we talked about Coach Pop not knowing what was going to happen, I remember saying, "In Pop we trust," right? He's gonna know what's best, and here we saw that he knows it's best for him to let the Spurs get things going, give Mitch Johnson his opportunity, and lead from a different perspective.
Yeah, David Robinson also there, Sean Elliott also there, DeJounte Murray making the trip in, although DeJounte also there because of Mitch Johnson. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, Mitch Johnson now, as we talked about the passing of the torch, he is now the head man. Was the acting head coach all of last year, of course, stepped in 5 games into the season after Pop suffered the mild stroke before a game in early November against Minnesota. Since then, the Spurs finishing with 34 wins, 32 of those coming courtesy of Mr. Johnson at the helm. And so this is his first head coaching gig. He's a Seattle, Washington native, a Stanford grad. A couple of different stops before he's made his way to the Austin Spurs. 3 years there, 6 years with the San Antonio Spurs. And I asked him, how do you kind of make this happen in terms of now getting to be the head man as opposed to where you were before?
Can you speak to that balance of being you and doing this your way to a certain extent, but at the same time now integrating yourself in a culture that's worked for, God knows how many years now?
Yeah, I've been doing it, I think, just like every other staff member and employee here for the last 9 years myself. I don't think that standard or that approach changes regardless of title. Obviously, the responsibilities of that title change, but starting to work in this organization can be difficult at times because you want to find your way, but you also want to be told what to do just because they've done so many things right. And a lot of times, sometimes you don't get the direction because you need to just feel it and be in it and learn it. And I think every step of the way in every different title or role that I've experienced, that's been a part of it while also being true to yourself. Because as long as you're true to yourself, even as you have some tough times and mistakes, the genuinity and authenticity comes out. And because you are blessed to be working with so many great people, you kind of find a way to problem solve and figure things out.
As we get Bobby's thoughts on Mitch Johnson, I want to tell you that, of course, the show is brought to you by Martinez and Associates, 337-1111. The best way to get hold of them, 337-1111. Martinez-law.com is how to reach them. Great folks. For us, it's personal was their slogan, and it really is. So, Bobby, we just heard from Mitch Johnson a little while ago. There were several names that were out there. Mike Malone is a free agent. Taylor Jenkins is a free agent. Spurs ties as well. Guys who've enjoyed success were available. The Spurs quickly nipped it in the bud, said Mitch is our guy.
Yeah, Mitch has a history with the Spurs already. Obviously, talked about him and his history being in the G League, being with Pop for several years. So he's very familiar with the system and very familiar on the Spurs way. And the Spurs way is different than a lot of other ways. In the words of Kendrick Lamar, they're not like us, So Spurs have done it and been successful for so many years. And, I know there's been a lot of talk too. Becky Hammond been waiting in the wings.
I didn't even mention Becky and talking about the other two. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so
because she's got a job right now. But yes, to your point, yes.
So she's been kind of waiting in the wings. But, this I don't want to call it the safe choice. But, with Mitch Johnson knowing what the Spurs organization needs, what they want, and like you said just moments ago, or talking about how intimidating that it could be, to pop into such a team, relatively most people don't necessarily know who Mitch Johnson really was, and here he is, the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs.
Tons more on Pop as we're just getting started right here on the Sports Update. Later, a commentary on the greatness that is Gregg Popovich and his impact. But up next, his best coaching job. We give you our thoughts on what it was. That's next right here on the Sports Update, brought to you by Martinez and Associates.
Want to play some golf on Friday, May 9th? How about joining as a sponsor? Great way to get your business's name involved in the community. It's the 33rd Annual South Texas Golf Tournament. Contact Rebecca Villagran or Cecile Montañez for the chance to be a part of all the action. Check-in at the Riverside Golf Course is at 7 a.m. Shotgun start at 8. Friday, May 9th, the South Texas Golf Tournament.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
Welcome back to the Sports Update brought to you by Martinez and Associates. All right, best coaching job of the 29 years in which Pop was the head coach. What say you, Bobby Mendez?
29 years as the head coach. Well, obviously 99 coming in, taking over for Bob Hill. Or not 99 taking over, but 99 getting the championship.
Getting that first championship.
After taking over a couple of years. But of all the years and of all the championships, and I'm glad I can say that, of all the championships, because never in my life prior to 1999 did I think we'd ever have a championship. But my favorite year would probably be 13. We didn't win the championship then, but I think that 13 and 14 kind of just mushed together for me. In 13, it was the biggest heartbreak. The only way place I can compare that heartbreak to was in 1995, where we finally were starting to see going deep into the playoffs. Never had we been that deep before in the playoffs, at least in my lifetime. But in 13, we had already won a few titles, but we were so close. And then I know, and I've tried to find this podcast that Manu did with Wojnarowski. I can't find it anymore, but in that podcast, he did say, if we won in 13, we probably don't come back and win in 14. But it was because of the way they were so upset in 13. The whole team came together and they just obliterated teams in 2014. So my short answer to your question, 13, 14. Those are my favorite years.
Yeah, I would say that 14 is easily the best a Spurs team has ever played. I'll grant you that. For me, it came down to 2 years and it was tough, either 2007 or 1999. And ultimately, the reason for me that those two were the choices was 2007. I thought that team, for lack of a better term, was the luckiest, was the most fortunate of the title teams. You know, they had a very good Dallas team that year lose in the first round of Golden State. That was the year in which they played Phoenix in the second round in 2007. Boris Diaw gets suspended. So does Amari Stoudemire because they came off the bench. The Ori hip check. And so I thought the Spurs had a lot of things go their way. 99, though, for me, was his best coaching job, and this is why. I love Avery. I love Mario Elie. I love Steve Kerr. Sean, I love you. All that being said, I think 99 of all their title teams was probably the least talented. Like, Tim wasn't yet Tim.
Yeah.
Dave was a little past his prime.
Right.
Remember, 99 is pre-Tony, pre-Manu. It's Avery Johnson, it's Mario Elie in the backcourt. So it was probably the least talented. Yet that group went 31-5 to finish the regular season, then won 13 games in the playoffs, only lost 2 the entire postseason run. Right. They lost Game 2 to the Timberwolves in the first round. They didn't lose again until Game 3 of the finals against the Knicks. Winning that series in 5, they swept the Kobe Shaq Lakers in the conference semifinals. They beat a very good young Portland team in the conference finals. All of that under the umbrella, Bobby, of we had never done it before. Like, winning championships was something that everybody else did. That wasn't for the Spurs.
Right.
And so to be able to do all of that and keep all those guys in check, because specifically that was a team when you watched them, they were so smart. And a lot of that had to do with Avery and Sean. They knew exactly and David, they knew exactly where they wanted to go with every possession. No possession was wasted. They were monstrous defensively. But again, they did it in an era when it wasn't yet the Spurs' time. They made it the Spurs' time. And for me, for Pop to go on that run, famously after he was on the brink of losing his job after a 6-8 start in that very season, to me is the reason why 99, I believe, is the best head coaching job, even still, that Coach Pop has ever kind of undergone.
I can't argue with you on any of that stuff, And talking about the talent on that team, Mario Elie, I think he brought
a toughness.
The missing piece that many Spurs teams have been missing from the previous years. And I think that's what we're kind of missing right now, too.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the offseason as they kind of build the team up. All right, coming up next, commentary, a special tribute to Pop, and then our favorite moments, our favorite memories about Gregg Popovich.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of light, 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 light.
bad idea to run a foot race against these guys, just like it's a bad idea to go up against the billion-dollar auto insurance industry all alone.
Hire Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
The Sports Update is brought to you by Martinez and Associates. Tim, Manu, Tony, David, Sean, Victor, Andre. Last August, while on a trip that had nothing to do with basketball, much less the Spurs, is where we meet Andre, a server at the famous St. Elmo Steakhouse in Indianapolis. He's from Europe, but he's worked at the restaurant for decades. As he approached our table, we engaged in the usual chit-chat that comes at places that draw folks from all over. Upon learning we were from San Antonio, what came next wasn't, "I hear it's a beautiful city," or "Are you here to escape the heat?" Wasn't about the Alamo or the Riverwalk. His response was, "Gregg Popovich," with a smile that matched his 6'2" frame. That Prop frequented a restaurant known for world-class food and a wine list to boot isn't breaking news. And this probably won't surprise either. Andre spoke of Pop's vast generosity, the kind of which he hadn't experienced in years, including a trip into the restaurant's kitchen, where Senor Popovich made sure to take care of everyone in there as well. And so there we were, 1,000 miles away from San Antonio, swapping stories about a man who'd been born about 2.5 hours away from where we sat. By now, most of you know his journey from East Chicago, Indiana, to the Air Force, to service that led him overseas and eventually into the coaching ranks. There are cliff notes that include the 5 championships, Olympic gold medal, and a place at the very top of the NBA's all-time wins list. None of it, of course, possible without the jerseys that hang in the rafters of the Frost Bank Center. And none of it is possible without a culture that prioritized selflessness, humility, persistence, toughness, attention to detail, and most importantly, perspective. A sense that basketball, or whatever it is we do for work, pales in comparison to moments and our potential impact on those around us and beyond. El Jefe has practiced what he's preached. The Spurs Youth Basketball League, his work with the San Antonio Food Bank, the Shoes That Fit program, to name just a few, are simply starting points. There isn't enough time to list all of his contributions to this community, nor do we know the extent. It's a Hall of Fame career exceeded only by a Hall of Fame impact. And that's why the basketball legacies of Tim, Manu, Tony, David, Sean, and Victor tell only a portion of Gregg Popovich's story. Andre gives a glimpse into the bigger, much more important picture. He's never been to San Antonio. He's still fortunate, though. The best of San Antonio came to Andre. We're right back after this. Favorite memories of Gregg Popovich, right here on the Sports Update, brought to you by Martinez and Associates.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of a light, 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 light.
Want to play some golf on Friday, May 9th? How about joining as a sponsor? Great way to get your business's name involved in the community. It's the 33rd Annual South Texas Golf Tournament. Contact Rebecca Villagran or Cecile Montañez for the chance to be a part of all the action. Check-in at the Riverside Golf Course is at 7 a.m. Shotgun start at 8. Friday, May 9th, the South Texas Golf Tournament.
Welcome back to the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. Give them a call, 337-1111, martinez-law.com. For us, it's personal, Martinez and Associates. Bobby Mendez, we wrap up the show with your favorite moments, our favorite moments about Pop. What is something that sticks out for you when it comes to Pop?
I'm going to take the Pop answer on this one and say it's something beyond the basketball court. I think it's his relationships that he's built, not only with the team, but with the city. He's been a vocal supporter of all injustice, or of things that have been in the media lately. You know, he's been a very harsh critic of the administration, and he's made that. A lot of people like to hide that and not really kind of vocalize that for risk of, hey, stay in your lane, stay what you're comfortable with or what you know the most. But that's one of the things I really respect about Pop, is that he's been vocal and he did not care about any backlash, and he vocalized what he felt was right.
Yeah, and if I can build on that real quick, just to add to that, for a lot of people who disagreed and didn't like Pop toward the end because of that, and were like, well, stick to sports. Number one, he's a veteran. Number two, he served overseas. Number three, he was the coach of Team USA basketball and won an Olympic gold medal. If he hasn't earned the right to say what he feels, then nobody has that right. Case in point. For me, it's a personal story. First time I ever interviewed Pop, he blew me up pretty bad. I'm asking him, nobody had warned me. I'm 24 years old. I just moved back to San Antonio. I'm covering my first practice. Nobody warned me about Pop and getting popped. And I was like, the Spurs were playing the Timberwolves that night with Kevin Garnett. I was like, hey, can you talk about the difference between Garnett and Duncan? And he looks at me and goes, what do you mean difference? Like, you want to give me a dissertation? What do you mean difference? And I just kind of stood there frozen. And he goes, you see, son, this isn't like an essay contest. If you want a specific answer, you need to ask me a specific question. I then kind of followed up with, in terms of the way they operate down low. From that point on, he could not have been nice for the rest of the session, but he did that to see how you would react. And he did that also to make you think about the question you were asking. Talk about, are you happy? Generalities didn't fly with Pop. He wanted you to think. He wanted to think in answering you. And Gregg Popovich, an enduring legacy that even goes into those first quarter interviews, getting after folks in the media. But at the end of the day, it was all of it, most of it, was done with good intentions.
I never got the opportunity to meet Coach Pop. I did one time get a chance to see him at a restaurant. And the one time I did get to see him, I'm a 44-year-old man, and I felt like a kid again. But all I can say is thank you, Pop.
Thank you, Pop, indeed. And as he now moves up to his role as president of basketball operations, continuing to have an impact on the Spurs and obviously this city going forward. That is going to do it for us right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. We hope you've enjoyed our reflections here on Pop. And going forward, again, still going to be a part of the franchise. We say so long. We'll see you next week. Again, right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.